Hi, my name is Joe from Lee, Myles, and Reading. Today we're going to do some vacuum testing on a valve body, which is the entire control center of a transmission and generally the main failure point of transmissions in general. They're made out of aluminum and they have a valve that travels constantly over and over inside of a bore, and that bore wears out, and then we have this special test stand that we use that can tell me how bad or good a valve isn't, and then from there we can proceed on replacing or resurfacing the bore and putting a larger valve in it. So, this valve body is out of a 2012 Lincoln MKT. It is called a 6F50 transmission. It is a 6-speed front-wheel drive automatic. Now, in these valve bodies, you have your main pressure regulator. So the pressure regulator controls all the pressure throughout the entire transmission. All these valves depend on this regulator because what happens is you have a pump in the transmission, and the pump is dumb essentially, and it just works. It just constantly puts out pressure. And what would happen is if you didn't have this regulator, you would have constant pressure all the time, which would be hard shifts, and it just wouldn't feel very nice going down the road. So that being said, this valve is constantly working, and since everything depends on this particular valve, if it fails at all, the rest of it will fail behind it. You'll smoke clutches, you'll burn up you'll ruin the torque converter, you'll overheat the fluid, you'll have all kinds of issues going on. So we have this, which is a vacuum test stand that essentially pulls vacuum on the valve and then tells me how good or bad it isn't. So like right now we're at 15 inches of vacuum. This valve should be as close to 25 as possible. So like this one. See here, it goes up there. This is a good valve. This valve works. That's a lockup regulator valve. But that doesn't mean anything if the pressure regulator isn't doing its job. So what we do is, just to make sure when I'm doing this, remember how I said the valve is always moving. So when pressure is applied, the valve moves outwards towards the bore, which allows fluid to feed back into the pump to reduce pressure, depending on your load. So if you'll notice, as I move this just a little bit, which is generally where it's going to rest, it drops drastically. So normal resting position, this thing has no way to compensate and do its job. So pressure is going to drop completely around the board, and this thing's not going to know what to do at all. So in this particular case, I have an issue where the torque converter tries to come on, and it'll work fine when it's cold. It'll work fine, and then all of a sudden it gets hot enough, and what will happen is that aluminum bore is going to open up around that valve, and that fluid is just going to rush through, and pressure is going to plummet. So when this thing gets hot, all of a sudden lockup basically just turns off, starts to surge, throws a check engine, PO741, which is a lockup circuit issue, and this will cause that. Lockup valve is fine, but lockup valve being fine doesn't mean anything if the pressure regulator is not feeding the valve the correct amount of pressure. So at this point, we can either ream the bore and fix it, or we can buy a brand new one from Ford and put it in. Or so from here, that's pretty much what we'll do, and get them back on the road and save them quite a bit of money usually. So that's how we test valve bodies. That's the theory behind the valve body. Thanks for watching, and I should have something again soon.